Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of CCFR Radio on the Air. I'm your host, Rod Giltaca. Thanks for joining me again today on the show. We have another action-packed one, as if I never say that. We're going to find out whether or not CCFR versus Canada is going all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada. We also have a program update for the Buyback or confiscation program and how you can withdraw if you actually registered for it. We're going to talk at length, Tracey Wilson and I, about this press conference with Natalie, Provost, that is one of the most unhinged political press conferences we've seen in years. As well, a new gun control study has come out. And guess what? This in Canada's prohibition on legal firearms owners doesn't help public safety. Anyway, all that and more. CCFR Radio starts right now.
CCFR Radio on the Air is brought to you by Wild TV Plus, the best hunting, fishing, and outdoor content available anywhere, anytime, on any device. Visit wildtvplus.ca.
All right, we are back, and via the internet, we've got Tracey Wilson of the CCFR. Wilson!
Wilson! I heard that a lot at the Toronto Sportsman Show.
Yes, we did.
Wilson! Yes.
Yep, it's a thing now, apparently.
It is, everywhere I go.
Yeah. All right. So we got so much to cover in this episode. We got to get cracking right now. So I'm going to cover the first thing, which is in the last episode, we talked about the Supreme Court that was going to render a decision whether or not they're going to hear our case. And in case you haven't heard, we are going. The CCFR is going to the Supreme Court of Canada. Our case has been accepted, and I've got the schedule for you. So if you're interested in what happens and these dates and whatnot, then listen closely. Here we go. So on April 20th, the notice of appeal and notice of constitutional question is due. Then June 15th, our actual appeal materials are due. So by June 15th, we give our cases. Then August 13th of this year, any motions to intervene are due. So we'll have to fight interveners or open the door for other interveners that agree with us or whatever. I think that's how that process works. Then September 10th, the respondent materials are due. So the government has to put its case out there. Then September 24th is our potential reply to the respondent's material. And then at some point we may get a hearing, or the Supreme Court may just rule like in writing whenever they're ready. So that part of it, we don't know, but that's those are the deadlines as they appear today. Now, September 24th for our reply to the government's case. That's really close to the ending of the amnesty. So we will be pursuing what's called a stay of execution from the Supreme Court to extend the amnesty or somehow, do that effectively somehow. So those are the next steps, and that's how it works.
Wow, that's a lot. And yeah, that takes us right through the summer into the fall.
That's right. We're going to be busy now. We only have just a little bit less than a minute to go through an update to the assault style firearm compensation program, otherwise known as the confiscation program, and go.
Yeah, gun grab. So at time of recording this, the program is closing. So that window for applying for compensation is closed. Now we know the government's going to rip everybody off. And some people were scared into filling out their declarations, right? They were under threat of charges or maybe losing your firearms license. But I have good news for you. If you want to withdraw your declaration and wait out the Supreme Court decision with us, you can do that by calling this number, 1-833-759-4551. Press pause on this video, and you can withdraw your declaration and wait it out. The other way you can do this, it's very easy. It doesn't take any time at all, is once they contact you for an appointment, they'll be contacting you to either schedule an appointment to come in and turn in your firearms or to send a reservist RCMP to your door to pick them up. When they call you to schedule that appointment, just tell them, I changed my mind. I'm not going to participate in this gun grab, and I withdraw my consent. And that's it. You're out. So you still have those options open to you. The rest of us are holding the line, waiting for the decision out of the Supreme Court. We're, still treading water here. And that's my best advice, is just to, if you want to, and if you can still withdraw.
All right. Well, that's where we are. We're still in the fight. We've got the Supreme Court. You never know. If we win in the Supreme Court of Canada, that changes the whole game. So
Sure
Anyway,
does.
I guess we'll see. All right. Thanks for that. We've got a lot more information coming up, so stick with us. All right, we are back. Now we've got some interesting things. The first thing is actually, I don't know if I would consider it fun. It's just kind of a little shocking to look at. So there was a press conference that was held by the Minister of Public Safety, Gary Ananda-Sangri, otherwise known as Big Gary. And Natalie Provost was there, who is the Secretary of Nature for some reason, was involved in this public safety thing. And she got completely unhinged, and it turned into a press conference, I think, unlike anything I've ever seen from the government of Canada before.
Yeah, that's right. So this was with 1 week left to the buyback program, the gun grab. And I think they were feeling the pressure because, of course, uptake has been really low. At that time, I think they had about 51,000 declarations, out of a possible, I think they were looking for 136,000 or 150,000. The number keeps changing. Of course, there are over 2 million firearms affected, right? So you could see the desperation, and it was just a complete meltdown. And I have never seen anything so undisciplined. And Carney seems like a fairly disciplined guy. I wonder what he thought of his cabinet acting like that. But Provost went kind of off the rails. She was shoved the minister physically at one point out of the way so she could kind of get in front of the microphone. And of course, this provided a ton of material to everybody on social media. They were watching it. The finger waving, pointing and like slamming her hand. And it was just so bizarre. My favorite line of the whole thing, and granted, there is a language barrier. She's got a thick French accent. But she said, all views that are critics to the program answer to the gun lobby, keeping in mind that you've got provinces, territories, law enforcement agencies, academics, like all these people stacking up saying this gun grab is a waste of resources. And she's basically saying everybody's in the pocket of the gun lobby. Like, I don't know, what an insult to professionals all across the country,
Yeah,
Just
pretty
crazy.
wild. And don't forget, after she said that, all views that criticize the program answer to the gun lobby. Then she said, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
And then,
Yeah.
and, she said, we are in a society where people don't listen at you, but listen to the gun lobby. And that the gun lobby, the website, the system of gun hunters are going over that. Basically, the Canadian people are listening to the gun lobby. So meaning that she was asking repeatedly for the help of the mainstream media. Help us stop the spread of disinformation from the gun lobby. Like as if we are such a powerful organization. I mean, I'd like to think so, but that's not reality. That we're being heard over the government of Canada, the entire mainstream media, and we hold sway over all the police in Canada, all the provinces, all the territories, well, all the provinces except 2, all the territories, all the CFOs, right, of each province,
Come on.
like just delusional stuff. And it was a little bit sad to see. One of the other comments, I'll be quick here, so we're running out of time. One of the other comments was she reiterated that there are still 19,000 models available for everyone, and that then no hunting guns were banned. Of course, there's all kinds of hunting guns, and pop can guns is one of the other things she said, and guns you'd find on the farm. Tons of stuff is just like that. Yeah. But the 19,000 models was interesting because if you remember, they've been saying 19,000 since 2020.
Yeah. And meanwhile, they keep banning thousands of models.
And it stays 19,000.
Have they been to a gun shop lately? There's obviously not 19,000 varieties on the wall.
Totally. So while spreading a tremendous amount of disinformation, like one of those sprinklers that sprinkle manure on the farm, when they're doing fertilizing, that's what it's like, while telling the media to help them, please, she says, exasperated, to stop the gun lobby from spreading misinformation. It's really quite remarkable.
I think there was 8 pleases altogether. Yeah. Begging the mainstream media to deplatform and not speak to stakeholders, the only people that are impacted by the gun grab, right? How dare they speak to us? Like, just insane.
Yeah. And I
But
don't
you can
think,
contrast that with the next press conference that we saw. So she was in Wakefield, Quebec, just outside Ottawa here, with the Prime Minister on an announcement related to the protection of land and waters. And that's good because that's actually the first time I've ever seen her work on her actual file, which is nature. And of course, the media asked a couple questions afterwards, and the Prime Minister answered, and she just stood there motionless with her hands crossed and her lips sealed. And Carney basically just, blew off the questions about the buyback. He doesn't really know what to do next. And that's kind of where it's at. So, yeah, just a complete contrast when she's with the Prime Minister than when she's with the minister shoving him around.
yeah. Well, that whole thing
Mhm.
was very, very interesting. And certainly the contrast is interesting. You can see that Carney would not put up with that kind of
No.
delusional misbehavior. And you could see it,
Yeah.
you know? But
Yeah.
anyway, as I
Very
said, I
uncomfortable.
think I don't think either of us have ever seen anything like that. The closest
No.
thing that we ever saw was Marco Mendicino in the press conference trying to say that the long gun registry solved the crime, led to the capture of the shooter at École Polytechnique who actually killed himself at the scene. That
Yeah.
was that was maybe as crazy as what we saw the other day, but anyway.
Yeah. That and the 22 gauge Goody. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true too. We're gonna do a Liberal Party greatest hits compilation video. Anyway, all right, we're out of
Okay.
time for this segment. When we come back, we got a lot more, so stick with us. All right, we are back. Now we've got something interesting to talk about. In Canada, there's a bit of a shortage of actual scientific studies on gun control. There's a handful of them out there, but not a lot. That's why you have
Mhm.
anti-gun people relying on studies from the United States. Well, Dr. Noah Schwartz of the University of the Fraser Valley came up with a really cool new study. It's a lot of data, but maybe you can give us a summary on it.
Sure. So this is a new study out of the McDonald Laurier Institute by Noah Schwartz and friends. And the too long didn't read is there's an executive summary here, and it said using the firearms policy evaluation framework, which is a scientific way of evaluating the effectiveness of firearm policy. Excuse me. Our study provides a rigorous assessment of these policy shifts. Drawing on a deep dive into the literature on gun control policy, as well as interviews with law enforcement, community workers, and stakeholders, we found that, and here's the three findings. Number one, there's no evidence to support a prohibition or confiscation buyback of assault style firearms in the Canadian context. Number two, there's no evidence to support a freeze on the legal sale of handguns to licensed owners. And thirdly, unsurprisingly, police are concerned with smuggled firearms from the United States and privately manufactured firearms, not legal firearm owners.
Well,
Shocking
the science is clear.
and overwhelming.
Yeah, believe the science, apparently.
Yes.
So anyway, very interesting. And so thank you to Noah Schwartz and his colleagues for coming out with some actual real data to assist the mainstream media in Canada and the government in figuring out whether their assault style firearm compensation program, otherwise known as the confiscation program, is worth 1 red cent, which I think we've arrived at the conclusion that it's not.
That's right.
That's you're correct.
Correct. Sorry, I still have trade show voice. Yeah.
All right. All right. We're going to move on to something interesting too. The CBC did a what I would consider a reasonably balanced job
Yeah.
in a story that they did, a kind of a feature story about the gun buyback program. Unfortunately, CBC was up to its old tricks in on a couple of in a couple of regards. Do you want to kind of give us the outline of it?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times what happens is what the CBC does is they'll contact, say, yeah, we just want to talk to a regular gun owner, and you and I are both gun owners. We're both affected by these bans. Like we have a lot to say about them, but they don't want to talk to you or I. They just want to, find somebody, just an average dude at the range or whatever and talk to him. And then they stack him up against ministers of government, professional politicians, excuse me, or the lobbyist from Police Souvien, which of course have 36 years of media experience under their belt. And that's intentional. They're trying to set the stage and keep their finger on the scale and tip it in their way. But yeah, they interviewed Adriel. He's the hunting gear guy, and he's actually awesome. He did a wonderful job. So
Yeah.
kind of backfired.
Yeah. Adriel's not really your average gun owner, angry gun owner. So they kind of didn't get what they wanted from him. But yeah, they're always putting their finger on the scale. And of course, they could not resist but put some clip that they probably got from Adriel's social media down on the state shooting full auto, because what they always do, and they do this so predictably with regularity, they talk about these assault style firearms and then they'll show a clip of somebody shooting full auto in another country.
Right.
So that everyday Canadians think, oh my God, these are the guns that they're banning, not the GSG 16, not the Mossberg 715 tactical, right? The little plinker, right? The Mossberg
Yes.
Plinkster and the clamshell AR, goofy looking toy AR mold. So
Right.
anyway, whatever. But
Yeah.
good, good work, CBC. You did about 70% of a proper job.
Yeah, you get like a half a high five on that one.
Yeah. You get 2/3
Yeah.
of a gold star,
Yeah,
which
you
looks weird.
almost did it.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right. You've got a couple of rallies going on. Let's tell us about those. We're not out of the fight yet.
Yeah, that's right. We are headed to Halifax, April 10th, Friday, April 10th, 2026. We'll be at the Halifax Grand Parade, right in front of Halifax City Hall from 4 to 7 p.m. I'll be joined by Blaine Calkins and our friends from SCI Canada. So make sure you head out to that. And then we're going to also rally in Waterloo Region on Friday, April 24th, 2026 from 4 to 7 again at Cambridge City Hall on Dixon Street. And we've got a whole lineup there. We've got MPs Connie Cody, Matt Strauss, Kelly DeRitter, Blaine Calkins. And I just want to say, our friends in Quebec, we've been doing these rallies right from Cape Breton, from the pilot, all the way through. And we're going to keep doing them in jurisdictions that sign deals with the Libs. Now, Quebec, for all the ribbing they take from the rest of us, they put somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 people on the ground at their rally. So this is kind of a challenge. So Friday, April 10th in Halifax, Friday, April 24th in Waterloo Region. You can find all that at ccfr.ca/events.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I know that you'll be there at both rallies, correct?
I will. Yeah, that's right. I'll be handing out signs and taking pictures and railing against the government.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. And yeah, I think that's our list. We did it.
We did it. We killed it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the update, and we will see you in the next episode.
All right. We'll see you then.
All right, we are back now. Only got a couple of things to go over with you before I let you go. The most important thing is CCFR Field Officer of the Month for March 2026 is our great friend, Derek Gowland. And now Derek is a relatively new field officer with us, and he is just lighting it up. He is so great. I had a chance to meet and hang out with Derek when I went to the Toronto Sportsman Show a couple of weeks ago. And none of these things would happen without our volunteers. So, and all of our best volunteers were there as well. We've got great volunteers across the country. A lot of them are in the Toronto area. And yeah, it's funny because I stand there at the booth and I probably met 600 people that weekend at the Toronto Sportsman Show. It's very busy. And I look around at the people that volunteer for us, taking the time out of their lives just to volunteer for something they believe in. And it is so inspiring, man. I got to tell you, it's never lost on me how supportive people are to the CCFR and everything that we're doing. And it's that support. That support is the reason why we're able to do all the things that we do, whether we're going to the Supreme Court of Canada, whether we're, one of the biggest third-party advertisers in a federal election in the entire country, whether or not we can participate in elections otherwise, whether or not we can fund rallies across the country, whether or not we can produce television shows, whether or not we can do all of these different things that we do, just all depends on the support. Now, speaking of support, as you guys know, it's raining guns over the CCFR. We got the Raining Guns contest. We're giving away 100 guns. All of those guns were donated. So I'm going to tell you who donated those guns, but don't forget, if you want to get receive an entry into the contest for free, you just need to donate $20 to the CCFR. Then you get a free entry into the contest. You can do that at ccfr.ca. Just go to the contest page and you can do that. So for every $20, you get a free entry into the contest. When the contest closes, you got 100 chances to win a gun. You know, they're not all expensive guns, that's for sure, but it's a gun. The people that have donated these guns, again, are people that make the whole CCFR possible. So Calgary Shooting Center, Wards and Bud Haynes Auction, Sterling Arms, J.R. Cox, he donated 40 guns, man, to this contest. Chippewa Trading Post, Canuck Guns, otherwise known as Odell Engineering, Select Shooting Supplies, General Gun, SFRC, Reliable Gun Vancouver, Jost Arms, Simply Berkey, Justin out of Medicine Hat, thank you. Gagnon Sports, Stan's Plumbing Service, thank you, Stan. Prophet River Firearms, CATF, so Canadian Access to Firearms, Spectre Ballistics International, Magnus & Sons, YR Firearms. I met the crew down at YR over at the Toronto Sportsman Show when I was there. Great group. And of course, the General Counsel of the CCFR, Loberg Ector LLP. Man, if you need somebody to help you in complex commercial litigation or any other legal matter in Alberta or elsewhere, Loberg Ector are your people. They've done so much for the CCFR. They donated 10 guns to this contest. Just great, great people. We wouldn't be here without them. So anyway, if you want to become a member of the CCFR, or you want to donate or take part in the contest, you can do that at ccfr.ca. That would be greatly appreciated. You know, we always wanted a powerful gun lobby in Canada, and man, we got one, right? It's the CCFR, and we wouldn't be here without you. So it's just really humbling working for all of you. Anyway, one more thing, the CCFR annual general meeting in Mississauga, Ontario. If you're in the area or you want to fly in and hang out with the CCFR crew, I'll be there. Wilson will be there. Everybody will be there. It's going to be fantastic. That is on May the 23rd in Mississauga. Again, ccfr.ca. You'll find the page for the AGM. Get your tickets while you can. We're going to have an Ask Me Anything. We got other speakers. We're going to have a great time. Anyway, hopefully see you there. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.